Okay, so we're going to start now with chapter 61. I just want to say that I'm not giving a share now until until after Pesach. I think everybody has what to do. If you don't know what to do next Thursday in this time, I'll give you some suggestions. It's like a thing. So the truth is, it's not the half an hour of the show. It's the preparation. I just haven't got time to do next week. So after Pesach, please God. And if you're wondering why I took a break from chapter Kufyutes and went to 61, so some of you know that I had a birthday this week, and the custom that we have is to learn our new capital of Tehilim. So I'll let you figure it out yourselves. And my new capital of Tehilim is 61. And so I started learning it and decided then that was going to be the shiur. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So having a look at this capital, so I'm gonna also now just mute everybody and okay, thank you. So this capital Tehilim is just it's written that it's a sequel to the capital of Tehilim before, which we haven't done yet. But it's in the capital Tehilim before, in chapter 60, it's about the world being a perfect world, the vision of all nations getting along with each other, and like everybody being under Hashem's rule with the Sanhedrin in charge. That was the picture that David HaMelech painted in the chapter before. And in this chapter, it's a continuation of that. In other words, the reality check of what is really happening in the world at the moment. So, according to some opinions, this was written by David HaMelech when he was fighting Aram, which we call Syria, and another opinion that was written when he was running away from Shaul. That's according to the Radak. So either way, he was running, and in this capital of Tehillim, he's asking Hashem to help him when he's in trouble. And the reason it's here, and we'll see that David HaMelech alludes to the fact that no matter where you are and what you're doing, and if things are great like he envisions, or if things are really difficult like his reality, you can still turn to him, you can call on him. So let's look at the chapter of Tehillim inside. So it says, Lamnatseach al Naginas LeDavid, to the choir master, al Naginas, on the Naginas by David. So our first thing that we notice in this chapter is it's the only place where it says al Naginas. Normally it says bin Ginus. So this is actually the only place in all of Tehillim that it uses this expression. All the Mephoshim point that out. They don't tell us why. The Naginos are a group of instruments. It seems like wind instruments, and there was a whole lot of them. And when David HaMelech said this capital of Tehillim, he made the music. He prepared it to be on these instruments, dafka for these instruments. And he says, Shema Elokim Rinasi. Hear my cry, Hashem, Hakshiva Tfilasi, and listen to my tefillah, my prayers. So this pasuk actually is one of the sources that we use when we speak about private tefillah, that a person can make their own prayers for the things that they need, right? Rinasi, my cry, tefillasi, my prayer. And lots of the Mephoshim discuss what is the difference between my rina and my tefillah. When he says, listen to my rinasi and listen to my tefillasi. So according to a lot of opinions, rinasi is audible. When we say words, when we say what we're feeling that someone around us could hear. And tefillasi refers to any time we make a prayer, even if it's the yearning of our heart, and it's our prayer. So doesn't have to be. Tefillah can be things that we say. But tefillah can also be when you are driving and thinking about something you want very much, when you're cooking and asking Hashem all your deepest requests and needs and wants. That would be tefillah, the yearning of my heart. And it's also from this passage that we get that you can daven when you're in Galus, and not only you can, but you should. David HaMelech is saying, when we're in trouble, we don't have to wait for someone else to suggest that we daven. We don't have to wait for formal tefillah. We can do that if we want, but we need Shema Elokim Rinasi Hashem. Listen to my own personal feelings. Listen to my own personal prayers. And Shema, listen, Hakshiva, take notice of my own personal prayers, even if, and this is what the Mephoshim will explain to us, even if I'm not so great, okay, even if possibly I don't deserve it, I can still ask Hashem to listen and to hear what I'm asking for. And immediately the Medrash Tehilim comments on this and says, when we call out to Hashem from the depths of our heart, He hears us, and gives the examples. When we were in Egypt, we called out. When we were by the sea, we called out. In Eretz Yisrael, when they got the land, we called out. When the time of Shlomo, we called out. And so says the Medrash Tehilim, any time, even in Galus, even in difficult times, we need to call out and Hashem will listen to us. And David HaMelech explains in the next passage where you should call out from. He says, Miktzei haaretz, from the very edges of the earth, Eilecha ekra, to you I call. Ba'atayfli bi, when my heart is wrapped up, B'tsur, it's your rock, Yoram mimenu tzalcheni, the one that you have shielding or towering over me, that gives me life. So we first of all want to understand Miktzei Haaretz, from the edges of the earth. Where are the edges of the earth? So the Mephoshim will discuss this. Where are the edges of the earth, right? And explain that David HaMelech, this is a very literal level. David HaMelech used to send out his soldiers to very far places. And at some stage of his life, his soldiers actually decided that it was too dangerous for him to go out to war, that he needed to stay home, and he didn't feel good about that. He felt like a king should go out with his soldiers, and his commanders, his generals, everyone told him that he wasn't staying home because he was a scary cat. He was staying home because it was actually more dangerous for the soldiers to have to look after him and his security if he was there than if he wasn't there. And so he was forced to stay at home. And what says that the whole time that his soldiers went out to war, he would sit and daven for them. And it was in the merit of his davening a lot of the success happened. So that's the first explanation of where's the edge of the earth. Similarly, the Radak says that edges of the earth, Miktzei Haaretz, is referring to the land of the Plishtim, where David would run when he was running away from Shaul. And it says that because it was such a difficult thing for him to run away from Shaul, it was like, it's one thing when you have enemies, but when like someone who's your own is chasing you and trying to kill you, that's worse. That's the worst. And so in his mind, even though he wasn't running so far, he was at the edge of the earth. He was that like an expression of like, sure, I'm lost. I'm at the edge of civilization. The Medrash says that any place we are in Galus, we can refer to as Miktzei Haaretz, as the edge of the earth. We want to be in Eretz Yisrael, in a safe and secure and Beis Hamikdash and everything in Eretz Yisrael. So any time that we are outside of Eretz Yisrael, we feel like we should be feeling like we're on the edge of the earth. And he uses an interesting expression. He says, I call to you from there, but atayf libi, when my heart is wrapped up. So now if you go look in the translations that you have, very few of the Tehillims translate ba'atayf libi as my heart is wrapped up. The one that I have, most of them say when my heart is faint, so you could use that. But Atayf Libi paints a very powerful picture for us. Atayf A taif, or a tef, is what we do with what a man does when he puts on a talus. He wraps himself in the talus, and he's called. It uses the word a taif, to be wrapped in a talus. And so the first visual that we're getting over here in this pasuk is somebody who is wrapped in their talus and davening with their whole heart. A deeper visual that David HaMelech is painting for us is that when any time we are in pain or suffering or in trouble, what happens to us is that we often become totally enwrapped, okay, completely wrapped in our suffering and our troubles, takes over our head, takes over our day-to-day functions. All we do is think about the trouble that we are going through. And David HaMelech says this is normal, but libi, my heart is wrapped up in the pain and the trouble that I have now. What do I do there? Elecha ekra. I must call out to you. Because very often when a person is in trouble and they're feeling like so down and desperate and suffering and whatever else it is, they don't feel like davening. And look at David HaMelech, he says, Ba'atayf libi. When I'm in my worst suffering, in my worst troubles, what do I realize I have to do? Elecha ekra. I have to turn to Hashem. And he explains, he says, B'tsuri yorum mimenu tzancheni. With your rock that you like have towering over me, I am comforted. And so all the Mephoshim speak about what is the rock. And so some of them say the rock is Eretz Yisrael, the rock is Yerushalayim, the rock is Har HaMoriah, Har Tzion. But whatever it is, the common denominator of what is this rock that is towering over me is anything that where we want to be that's out of our reach. So we want a safe Eretz Yisrael. It's a little bit out of our reach at the moment. We want a safe Yerushalayim. It's a bit out of our reach. All these things you're like holding there, tempting me. And Sancheni, I am getting comforted just by the thought that one day I'll have it if I daven to you. And he explains, he says, Ki hayisi machseli migdal oiz mipnei oyev, because you have been a refuge for me, a tower of strength from my enemies. And this is like our innermost belief that Hashem will look after us. And what is it? How do we see that that's our belief? That David HaMelech writes it in past tense. Ki hayisa machseli. You have been a refuge for me. He's right now he's busy running away from Shaul. He should be saying, I want you to please be a refuge for me. You are a refuge for me. Past tense, right? I know that's what you have done, what you will do, what you're going to do. It's our absolute emunah that Hashem is going to take care of us. He says, Pasuk Hey, Agura v'ayhalecha eilamim. May I dwell in your tent, and our eilamim, we're going to translate it here as worlds, right? And eilam is a world. And David is saying, I want to live in your tent, Hashem, eilamim, for worlds. Take notice, it doesn't say eilam, which means a world, but eilamim, the plural, worlds. So simply what David HaMelech is saying, I want a good life in this world, and I also want a good life. I want to be assured that I'll have a good life in the world to come. Therefore, the plural. The Mishnah says something which I'm going to repeat. Don't really understand exactly what I'm saying, but the Mishnah says that in the world to come, every tzaddik is given 310 worlds. And this is what David HaMelech is saying. I want in the world to come to deserve and to get all the 310 worlds which you have promised. Then going back to the other translation, the other way of translating Olam means forever. And David is asking Hashem that he wants to live forever. Okay, I want to live in your tent, to dwell in your tent, Eilamim, forever. And the commentaries explain to us that David asked Hashem that Torah lessons should be taught in his name even after he dies. And you might be familiar if you come to Shul early enough to hear the Haftarah, and if the Haftarah is being read loud enough for you to hear the person reading the Haftarah making the brachas. So one of the lines that it says about David HaMelech, "Shelo yichbe neiroi," that his candle should never go out. Right in Ashul, even though the man who's reading the Haftarah says the brachas himself, those words, that and also thank you in the next Hakol Meidelach, we thank you. But the words Shelo yichbe neiroi l'olam, the whole shul joins in with the person who is saying the brachas, because this was David's request, that the candle of David should never go out. And Rabbi Yochanan says, in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he says that whenever we learn Torah of a particular scholar, and we repeat it in his name, his lips move in his grave. And this, I always find it very powerful. Sometimes when I tell it to my classes at school, they get a little bit freaked out. But it says, particularly when we say Tehilim, David HaMelech, in the words of the Gemara, it says, he sits up and he says it with us, which is what gives Tehilim such a power, because it's not just me, little Rivki Chaikin, saying my kapitel of Tehilim, but it's me saying my little kapitel of Tehilim with being helped by David HaMelech. Okay, and if that's the case, then my Tehilim has power. We also know, and we quote this in it's in Pirkei Avos, but it's from the Megillah, that we should always quote the person whose Torah we are sharing. And we should always tell, I learned this from this teacher, I saw this from this place, this is in the name of the Radak, this is it. I always tell this to my classes at the beginning of the year. When you write notes, always write who said it. I don't ever expect you to learn off by heart that Radak said this and Rashi says that, but at least in your books write it. And why is that? Because we are told that when we say something in the name of the person who said it, we bring the Geula. And this we actually get from the proof of it is from the story of Purim, where Esther tells the king, and the Megillah tells us very clearly, Esther tells the king in the name of Mordechai that there was a plot against his life. And because she told him in the name of Mordechai, she didn't take the credit, like just tell the king about it. That's why when Haman came, Achashverosh couldn't sleep, and they said, "Oh, Mordechai, he's the one who figured out that plot." And the Jews were saved because Esther told the king in the name of Mordechai. So we are careful with this. So David is hoping to get immortality. He wants to live forever. And so Hashem told him, not only during your life will people quote you, but even after you're dead, your name will be quoted in my house, which in other words, in the Beis HaMikdash, and in all people's houses, even during the Galus, your Tehillim will be sung. And that's why we carry on saying over and over again, David Melech Yisrael, David the King of Israel, Chai v'Kayam, he lives, he exists forever. This was Hashem's answer to him about his request that he should live for always. And he says, I want to find shelter under your wings forever. And the Mepharshim discuss wings. So what does it mean, I want to find shelter under your wings? And lots of discussion among the Mepharshim of what are wings. And the two basic things, wings can protect. Okay, so you see a mother bird hold her babies under her wings to protect them from the bigger birds that are around. So that's the wings that protect. And also we have wings that raise the bird can't fly if it doesn't have wings. And so the function of wings then is to raise us. I have to quickly tell you the story, which I know for sure I've told you before, but I can't miss this opportunity to remind you of the story. And it was one of my children's storybooks when they were little, about the little bird who was created and was petrified of all the animals in Gan Eden, and said to Hashem, "Look, there's so many predators, and I can't survive all these predators. They can run faster than me. They'll attack me. They'll get me." And Hashem said, "Okay, little bird, I'm going to help you. and he gave the bird wings. And with that, the bird started crying. He says, I don't understand. I was telling you that I can't run fast enough, and now you've put wings on me. I can make me run even slower. I can't do this. And Hashem says, little bird, okay, the wings are not going to make you run slower or faster. The wings are going to lift you up, and you're going to fly, right? And the nimshal of that story is of us Yidden. We're worried about all the people around us and what they think of us, and if they think we're good or we bad or we strange or we not strange. What Hashem say? He says, I gave you wings. Okay. What are the wings? So we go, Hashem, you're making us even more weird, right? You're making us keep Torah, you're making us keep mitzvahs, you're making us worry about kashrus. And Hashem says, no, little bird. Okay, look, Yidden, those wings are not to make you look stranger, they're to raise you and to make you look greater than all others to protect you. The Medrash Tehilim says that there's three kinds of wings. There's the wings of the world, the wings of the angels, and the wings of Hashem. So the wings of the world are the normal wings that we get that help us in our lives, like in our normal day-to-day lives. We need a little bit of help raising ourselves, protecting ourselves. The wings of the angels is when something extra special happens, something we didn't expect we thought it was going to be much harder than it is, and it works. Okay, that's called the wings of angels. And then there's miraculous things, right? Like where we just see, wow, okay, how did that happen? So someone who, God forbid, was almost dead and then suddenly come back to life and they're living beautiful life. We say, wow, what wings is that? That's the wings of Hashem. And so there are lots of different examples of that where we see the wings of Hashem. So in our day-to-day lives, we're seeing the wings of the world. We're hoping for the push, for the luck of wings of the angels. And if ever we need it, then we're really hoping that Hashem will come in with his wings. And the Medrash Tehilim asks, how do we deserve the wings of Hashem? How does a person access that? How do we get the wings of Hashem? And responds, this comes through doing chesed. A person who does chesed, who's kind, such a person will merit the wings of Hashem. He says, Pasuk Vav, Ki ata Elokim shamata lindarai. You, Hashem, heard my vows. Nasata Yerushas Yirei Shmecha, and you have given an inheritance to those who fear you or fear your name. So the what does it mean? You, Hashem, have heard my vows. So before we were born, just before our neshamas came into this world, an angel came over to each one of us and said, you have to promise that you're going to be a tzaddik and that you're not going to be a rasha. And we all came into the world, every single one of us, having made that promise. I will be a tzaddik and not be a rasha. How do we keep it? Sometimes better, sometimes worse. So that's on that level of understanding. On a much more literal level, David HaMelech was saying that while he was in exile, he would make lots and lots of promises. Hashem, I'll do this. Hashem, if you take me back to Eretz Yisrael safely. And this is what we all do, right? Or we should all do. That if we need something especially, we are not only permitted, but we should make promises to Hashem. I had a teacher, Maris Halala Shalom, and she always used to say to us, bribe God. Okay, you're allowed to bribe God. I wasn't meant to bribe God, to keep on like telling him, I'll be good. I'll do this, I'll give this tzedakah, I'll whatever, so that you should help me in this challenge or this difficult place that I'm in now. The big thing of when we make these promises is that we keep them. Because it's easy to make the promises, it's much harder to keep them when things go right. That like the famous story of the lady who asks Hashem, I'll give 1,000 rand if you help me find a parking place. Don't worry, Hashem, I just saw somebody go out of their parking place. Like forget what I just said. So yes, we have to make promises. We have to keep the promises that we make. And the third thing that David HaMelech is referring to here, according to Chazal, he said, I promise you, Hashem, I will not rest until I find a place where I want to put the Beis HaMikdash. And he didn't. Eventually he bought Hara Maria. Okay. Then we carry on. Pasuk Zayin, Yomim al Yemei Melech Tosef. May you add days to the life of the king. Shnoisav Kamoy Dover Dor, and years. May his years be like all generations. So, what does this mean? That may you add years to the life of the king? So the Sforno says that kings die young. Traditionally, kings die young. They are. They're the center of dissension. People make plots against them. Half of the country likes them, the other half of the country doesn't like them. There's a lot of stress in their lives. And traditionally, says Srona, kings are destined to die young. The Gemara says similarly, the throne buries its royal occupants. So David says to Hashem, please Hashem, if I'm supposed to die young, let me at least live to the age of 70, and we'll discuss this a little bit more, which is considered a full lifespan. And that's his prayer of this capital. Let me live, add years to whatever. And we have a similar story with King Chizkiyahu, that his tefillah to Hashem is that if he's supposed to die and he was sick, that he should live longer. And Hashem added an extra 15 years to his life. So let's understand this of Shneisav Kamoy Dover Dor, that his years should be from generation to generation. So we all know the Medrash that says that when David HaMelech was born, he wasn't supposed to live any years, and Adam Harishon saw that in the future this baby would be born and wouldn't live, and so he Adam Harishon gave David HaMelech 70 years of his life. So why is he asking? He knows that he was given 70 years of life, so he was asking for longer life. And the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer explains that actually David got life from dor vador, from generation after generation. It explains that Avraham Avinu was supposed to live for 180 years, but he died, instead of 180, he died at 175, and his 5 years of his life was donated to David HaMelech. Yitzchak was supposed to live to 175 years, and he died early, 147. So he gave 28 years. No, I'm telling you wrong. Yaakov was supposed to live to his father's age, but he died early, 28 years earlier, and he gave 28 years to David. And Yosef was supposed to live to the age of his to 147, which was the age of his father's death, but he died at 110, so he gave 37 years of his life to David. And if you add up the 5, the 28, and the 37, you get to 70, and that was David's life. So who gave him life? Adam Arishon, or all the people of the different generations? And the Chida says that David did not live a normal life. He hardly slept. He was always running for his life. There was no possible way that by the laws of physical nature that David could exist for 70 years. He didn't look after his body well enough to do that. And so he needed not only the years that Adam gave him, but he needed a whole double of that so that he could survive those 70 years. And therefore the wording, Kamei Devadar, I need to live, I need something from every generation after generation. I need to get life from that. Reb Nosson Tzvi Finkel speaks about this concept of Adam giving away life to David, and he makes a very important point for us. He says, "What is the lesson for us that Adam gave 70 years of his life. This teach every single one of us that you can make the biggest mistakes in your life and you can fix them. Adam Harishon, he made the biggest mistake. He sinned, he ate from the Eitz Hadas. And by giving David life, he was bringing atonement into the world. He was bringing Mashiach into the world for everybody else. And he says it teaches us about the importance also of giving others something which we feel so much is ours. So Adam could easily have said, look, it's such a sad thing that this baby's going to be born and not going to live. But imagine what Adam, could achieve in those 70 years. But he gave away the 70 years. Part of it was to teach us that even in our lives, every single one of us have times where we do something for someone else, and such a waste of my time to do this for someone else. You help someone with something that they could have gotten anybody else to help them. You give them a ride. You help them pick up their things. You go get groceries. You do things for other people, and you say to yourself, "This is such a waste of time." Right? This is like, imagine what I could be doing now instead of wasting my time with this. And Adam Harishon taught us that. Even if you think you could be achieving so much more, so much higher things in this space of time, Adam Harishon gave up 70 years of his life so that there could be a David HaMelech for us, so that we could have him there for forever. And yeah, so that is like that lesson. And he finishes, he says, Yeshiv Eilam Lifnei Elokim, may dwell in Hashem's place forever. Chesed ve'emes manyin saruhu, and kindness and truth should guard him. And the commentaries tell us that David HaMelech asked Hashem. He said, "Why can't all people be equal? Why does it have to be that there's some rich and there's some poor and there's some healthy and there's some sick? Like, why, Hashem? Why can't you do that? Everybody is equal." And Hashem explained to him with the second half of this pasuk, "Chesed ve'emes manyin saruhu," kindness and truth. This is why Hashem created the world. Hashem said to him, what is the whole purpose of the world if not for people to help each other, if not for people to be kind and to do good deeds? There would be no purpose in the world. And it says, like, yeah, I'm not going to go into it now, it's too late, sorry. So it says, Kain azamra shimcha la'ad. So I want to be able to sing your song about your name forever. The shalmei nadorin, to those who pay those who pay their vows, yom yom, every day. And so David makes this promise that no matter how difficult things are, he will sing to Hashem. He will trust in Hashem. He will have emunah. And what is yom yom? So we could translate it just as day after day, like that's a long time. Or yom yom, each day we will wait for the day, and for like the day that Mashiach comes, and we see clearly how Hashem is answering the prayers and the calls that we made to Him while we were in Galus. And that brings us to the end of Perek Samach Aleph.
Yeah, happy birthday, Shnas Bracha Batzlacha.
Thank you.
First service.
Thank you.